Evan Hale stood in the huge chamber, staring at the massive pile of battle-damaged armor before him. The polished metal plates were bent, scratched, and dented from the recent skirmish with the raiders on the outskirts of the Vialori Empire. Even after seeing hundreds of mechanical parts and human military gear, this was something else entirely. The armor seemed alive, as if it had absorbed the strength and spirit of the alien warrior it had protected. Evan felt a mix of awe and fear. He had been summoned to repair the armor of the Queen herself, a task no human had ever done before. He ran his hands over one of the plates, testing its weight and balance. The metal was surprisingly light, yet incredibly strong. Every joint, every hinge, every connection seemed to have been designed not only to protect, but also to enhance the wearer's movements. It was far beyond human engineering, and Evan knew he had to be careful. One wrong touch could damage it irreparably or insult the Queen, who was known for her pride and her sharp temper. A soft sound echoed across the chamber. The doors opened, and she entered. Queen Leora. Tall, regal, and commanding, she moved with the fluid grace of someone who had spent a lifetime perfecting the art of war. Her armor, even slightly damaged, glimmered under the chamber lights, reflecting the pale blue of the alien sky outside. She paused for a moment, her golden eyes locking onto Evan. "You," she said, her voice calm but full of authority. "Human engineer?" "Yes, Your Majesty," Evan replied, bowing respectfully. She approached the armor pile and inspected it silently, her movements precise and measured. Finally, she looked at him. "Begin," she said simply. Evan swallowed and stepped forward, laying his hands carefully on one of the plates. He started to work, adjusting small dents and tightening connections. Every motion was slow, deliberate, and careful. He did not want to make a mistake, nor did he want to offend her by touching her equipment too roughly. The Queen watched him closely. At first, Evan thought she was judging his skill, but then she spoke. "Human, you are touching me too gently." Evan froze. His hands hovered over the metal, unsure what to say. I'm sorry, Your Majesty." She raised an eyebrow, a small, almost amused curve to her lips. "This armor is strong. It does not break easily. You do not need to fear it. Adjust it firmly, or it will not hold in battle." Evan felt a mixture of relief and embarrassment. He tightened his grip on the armor and continued the repairs, applying more pressure as she had instructed. He could feel the Queen's gaze on him the entire time, analyzing his movements, measuring his confidence and patience. Minutes passed. Evan worked in silence, concentrating on every detail. The scratches slowly disappeared, the dents straightened out, and the hinges moved smoothly again. All the while, Queen Leora observed, leaning slightly against a support pillar, her eyes never leaving him. After a few moments, she spoke again, this time with curiosity rather than instruction. "Why do humans repair with such care? Most warriors I know would strike the armor with force, bend it back quickly, and move on. You move with precision, with patience." Evan looked up, slightly startled. "I suppose humans value protection as much as power. We try to ensure things last. Breaking them is easy. Fixing them properly is harder." The Queen tilted her head, studying him. "Interesting. You do not fear failure, yet you are careful. You are not like the soldiers I have seen." Evan shrugged slightly. "I am just a human, Your Majesty. I do my best." A small smile touched her lips, almost imperceptible. "Your best is unusual." Before Evan could respond, the soft hum of alarms filled the chamber. Red lights began flashing, casting long shadows across the walls. A sudden intrusion alert. "The raiders," the Queen said, her voice calm but sharp. "They are at the palace gates." Evan instinctively took a step back. I can help." "You cannot fight like us, human," she said quickly. "Stay here and repair the armor. If it is ready, it may save my life. Evan's mind raced. He could not stand by while the palace was under attack, not when he had the skill to help. Your Majesty, please, I can assist with the barriers. I can fix the generator before it fails. Queen Leora studied him silently for a long moment. Then she nodded. Do as you will, but do not endanger yourself unnecessarily. Evan ran toward the control panel of the palace's defensive barrier. Sparks flew from damaged circuits as he worked quickly to reroute power, adjust the force fields, and stabilize the generator. The human mind worked differently from alien systems. He found shortcuts that the Queen's engineers had overlooked. Slowly, the barrier hummed back to life, stronger than before. From the window, he could see the raiders approaching, their ships slicing through the sky. Queen Leora moved among the guards, her sword glowing with energy, striking with precision and devastating force. Even as Evan worked, he felt the rhythm of her movements, the calm determination, the unyielding strength. He realized why the armor had been so carefully crafted. It was an extension of her body, a part of her strategy, a symbol of her presence. By the time the raiders reached the palace gates, the barrier was ready. Evan adjusted the final controls and stepped back, his hands shaking slightly from the effort. The raiders slammed against the shield, but it held firm. The Queen glanced toward the chamber, giving him a look of acknowledgement. Not praise, acknowledgement. That was enough. The battle continued outside, but Evan stayed at his post, ensuring that the barrier would not fail. He repaired circuits, reinforced weak points, and rerouted energy through emergency lines. Each small task felt monumental, each movement critical. He could feel the Queen's eyes on him every moment, watching, waiting. Finally, the attackers began to retreat. Their ships malfunctioned when they tried to penetrate the shield, and their ground troops faltered in the face of Velori soldiers. Queen Leora returned to the chamber once the immediate danger had passed. Her armor gleamed, restored to its full glory. She walked toward Evan, her steps measured but powerful. You did well, human, she said. Most would have fled. Most would have panicked. You remained steady. You used your skill where it mattered. That is rare. Evan bowed quickly. I only did what I could, Your Majesty. She studied him for a moment, as if weighing his worth. Then she smiled, faint but genuine. Perhaps your hands are gentle, but your heart is strong. I will require your service again. You will continue repairing my armor, human. Not just today, but from now on. Evan's heart skipped a beat. He had expected orders, rules, perhaps even dismissal, but not this. Being chosen by the Queen herself was beyond anything he could have imagined. I will serve, Your Majesty, he said, voice steady despite the excitement and nervousness bubbling inside him. Queen Leora nodded and turned, inspecting the final adjustments he had made to her armor. Good. We begin again at dawn. I expect the same care and perhaps a little more confidence. The armor does not break easily, human. Neither should you. Evan stood quietly, watching her leave. He felt a mixture of pride and disbelief. He had survived the first test, and in the process, earned the respect of one of the greatest warriors in the galaxy. As the chamber doors closed behind her, Evan exhaled. The weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders, but it was a weight he welcomed. He realized that being human in the Velori Empire was not a weakness. It was a strength, one he could use to protect, to repair, and perhaps to become more than he had ever imagined. And as he worked late into the night, polishing, aligning, and reinforcing the Queen's armor, Evan understood one simple truth. Sometimes, gentleness is just as powerful as strength. And sometimes, it is enough to win the respect of a queen. The first night passed without incident, but Evan knew this was only the beginning. Tomorrow would bring more tests, more challenges, and perhaps the start of a bond that neither human nor Vealori had ever expected. The morning sun cast pale blue light across the Vealori palace. Evan Hale arrived early, as he had been instructed. The chamber was quiet, almost eerily so, except for the soft hum of machinery and the faint clatter of armor being arranged in preparation for inspection. Queen Leora stood in the center, already clad in her restored battle armor. She moved with the same precision and grace as the day before, yet there was a subtle air of curiosity in her eyes now. "You are punctual," she said, her tone calm yet carrying the weight of command. "Humans have many weaknesses, yet you seem determined to overcome yours." Evan bowed slightly. "I believe preparation is key, Your Majesty. If I am to repair your armor, it must be ready for anything." She watched him approach, her golden eyes scrutinizing every movement. "Yes, but skill alone is not enough. Confidence matters. Do not hesitate, human. You have proven your hands are capable. Now prove that your mind is as well." Evan nodded, feeling the familiar mixture of nervousness and determination. He began examining the small scratches and dents that had appeared during the previous day's battle, his hands moving deliberately over the polished surface of the armor. Queen Leora observed silently, occasionally commenting on the placement of a plate or the alignment of a hinge, her corrections precise but never harsh. "You understand more than I expected," she said at one point. "Your kind studies tools, yet few comprehend the spirit behind them. Humans, you value protection, yet do not seek glory. That is rare." Evan felt a surge of pride but stayed silent, focusing on the repairs. The Queen's words were not praise in the usual sense, yet they carried a weight he could not ignore. He had earned her attention, and perhaps even a measure of trust. Just as he was finishing the adjustments to the chest plate, an urgent alert sounded through the chamber. The soft red light of the warning system reflected in the armor, creating a kaleidoscope of colors across the walls. A ship had breached the outer perimeter of the palace. This time, the threat was closer and faster than before. "Raiders!" Queen Leora said, her voice calm but sharp. "They have returned." Evan froze for a moment. Yesterday had been dangerous, but today promised to be worse. He glanced at the Queen, whose gaze met his with quiet determination. "What should I do, Your Majesty?" he asked. "You will stay with me," she said simply. "If they break through, your hands may save my life." Evan felt a mixture of fear and honor. Staying close to the Queen in battle was unheard of for a human, yet she trusted him. He quickly adjusted the armor's minor reinforcements and followed her to the preparation room, where the palace's defensive systems were being readied. "Your approach yesterday was unusual," Leora said as he moved behind her, checking energy conduits and structural supports. "You repaired with care and thought. Today you must act with both thought and speed. Hesitation can be fatal." Evan nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty." The first wave of raiders hit the palace gates just as they finished. Explosions rocked the walls, sending vibrations through the floor. Queen Leora drew her weapon, a glowing blade that pulsed with energy, and leaped into action. Evan stayed behind the protective barrier, adjusting generators and rerouting power to weak points in the shield. His hands moved quickly but carefully, guided by the memory of yesterday's repairs and the Queen's instructions. From the observation window, he could see the Queen striking with precision. Each movement was calculated, powerful, yet beautiful, almost like a dance of war. She was everywhere at once, leading her soldiers and protecting her throne, a figure of unyielding strength. Evan realized why her armor had been crafted so carefully. It was a part of her, an extension of her body, each plate and hinge designed to amplify her skill. Suddenly, one of the raider ships managed to fire a concentrated energy beam that pierced the outer barrier. Evan's heart pounded as he rerouted energy, reinforcing the weakened section. Sparks flew and alarms blared, but he worked with calm precision, adjusting every connection and stabilizing the shield before the raiders could exploit it further. The Queen noticed the barrier holding, and a faint nod of approval reached him through the chaos. For the first time, Evan felt that he was not merely a human assistant, but a vital part of the defense. His knowledge, his hands, and his courage mattered here, and the Queen had trusted him with it. The raiders pressed harder, their ships diving toward the palace. Another blast rocked the wall near the throne room. The Queen moved to intercept, and Evan's mind raced. He realized the armor, even though repaired, could still be improved. He quickly worked on a temporary enhancement, energy-absorbing plates that could be mounted over the damaged sections. His human engineering allowed him to create a solution faster than the Valori technology alone would permit. "Your hands are faster than expected," Leora said, watching him from across the room as he connected the final plates. "Do not falter, human. The next strike could reach me." Evan tightened the last connection, and the enhanced armor hummed with energy. A massive energy blast hit the outer wall, and the armor absorbed the impact without faltering. Queen Leora's eyes widened briefly in approval. She had fought many battles, yet she had never relied so directly on a human to protect her in real time. The raiders began retreating, frustrated by the palace's defenses and the unexpected interference. The Queen and her soldiers pressed forward, driving them away from the city. Evan allowed himself a brief exhale, his hands shaking slightly from the intensity of the effort. He had done what few humans could do. He had directly aided in saving the Queen's life. After the battle, the palace was quiet again. The Queen returned to the chamber, her armor intact, her expression calm but thoughtful. She approached Evan, who was quietly inspecting the temporary reinforcements he had made. "You did well," she said simply. "Most would have panicked, most would have fled. You remained steady. Your skill and your courage have saved not only your own life, but mine as well." Evan bowed quickly. "I only did what I could, Your Majesty." Leora studied him for a moment, her gaze softening slightly. "Humans, I had little understanding of your kind. You are gentle, yet your strength comes not from aggression, but from determination and loyalty. That is a rare combination." Evan felt a warmth in his chest. Respect from the Queen was more than he had ever hoped for. "I am honored to serve, Your Majesty," he said. She inclined her head. "You will remain by my side. Your hands are gentle, but your heart is strong. That is what I require. More than strength, more than skill, loyalty, patience, and courage. You have all three." Evan could hardly believe it. A human had earned the trust of the legendary Valori Queen. And not only that, he had done so through calm precision, quick thinking, and a willingness to act in danger without hesitation. The Queen turned to inspect her armor one final time, adjusting a plate here, a hinge there. "Tomorrow, we prepare for the next wave, and perhaps after that, I will teach you more than repair. You may learn the ways of my warriors if you remain steadfast." Evan swallowed. The offer was extraordinary. Learning the ways of the Valori warriors was something no human had ever been allowed. "I will remain, Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady. She looked at him then, not as a subject, not as a servant, but as an equal in purpose, if not in skill. "Good. You have proven that humans, though gentle, can wield strength in ways many of my kind never imagine. Stay close, human. There is much more to be done, and I will need both your hands and your mind." As Evan worked late into the night, reinforcing armor, adjusting energy conduits, and preparing for the next possible attack, he realized that being human in the Valori Empire was not a weakness. It was a strength, patience, careful thought, and loyalty. These were not traits of the strongest soldiers, yet they were exactly what the queen needed. He paused for a moment, gazing at the gleaming armor. The metal reflected not just the light of the chamber, but the beginning of a bond. One forged not by blood or power, but by respect, courage, and the understanding that even a gentle touch can hold the strength of the galaxy. And as the first stars began to appear in the alien sky outside, Evan understood that this was only the beginning. The queen had accepted him, not as a human subordinate, but as a part of her world. His life had changed forever, and the story of the gentle human who had won the trust of a warrior queen had only just begun.